it's 2026. And you're doing the same thing you did in 2025. You're setting financial goals. You're telling yourself this is the year you finally get your money together. You're going to save more, invest smarter, stop living paycheck to paycheck, and deep down, you already know what's going to happen. By March, maybe April, if you're really disciplined, you'll be right back where you started. Same stress, same bank account balance, same financial patterns. And the worst part, you genuinely have no idea why you keep failing because you're not lazy, you're not stupid, you just don't know what you're doing wrong. My name is Guy, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people with good incomes stay broke year after year. If you're someone who makes decent money but somehow never has anything to show for it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. Financial success in 2026 isn't about making more money. I know people earning $150,000 a year who are living paycheck to paycheck, and I know people earning $55,000 who are building serious wealth. The difference isn't income. It's habits. Specifically, it's 5 habits that separate people who build wealth from people who stay stuck. And I'm going to break down all 5 in this video with the actual math and psychology behind why they work. But before we get into the habits, I need to address something. Most financial advice is completely useless because it focuses on tactics without addressing behavior. People will tell you to save 20% of your income, to max out your 401k, to cut out lattes. And sure, those things matter. But if you don't fix the underlying habits, the psychological patterns that control your financial decisions, none of that advice sticks. You'll try it for a few weeks, feel deprived, and go right back to your old patterns. So these 5 habits aren't just about what to do with your money. They're about rewiring how you think about money. And once you master these habits, everything else, the saving, the investing, the wealth building, it all becomes automatic. Let's get into it. Habit number 1, pay yourself first, automatically. Look, I know you've heard this before. Everyone says pay yourself first. But here's what most people don't realize. Saying pay yourself first and actually doing it are 2 completely different things. Because when you rely on willpower and discipline to save money at the end of the month, you will fail. Not because you're weak, because your brain is literally wired to fail at this task. There's a concept in behavioral economics called present bias. Your brain values immediate rewards exponentially more than future rewards. So when you get your paycheck, your brain sees that money as available to spend right now. On rent, sure, but also on dinner out, new shoes, that thing you saw on Amazon. And by the end of the month, when you're supposed to save whatever's left over, there's nothing left over because your brain already spent it. Here's the math on why this matters. Let's say you make $60,000 per year. That's $5,000 per month gross, probably around $3,800 take home after taxes. Now, most people pay all their bills, buy groceries, cover expenses, and then at the end of the month, they try to save whatever's left. And on average, according to the Federal Reserve, the median American saves about 3.5% of their income. For someone making $60,000, that's $2,100 per year. But here's what happens when you pay yourself first automatically. You set up your paycheck to deposit 15% directly into your investment account before you ever see it. That's $9,000 per year. And here's the psychological magic. You never see that money hit your checking account, so your brain never registers it as available to spend. You adjust your lifestyle to the $3,230 that hits your account instead of $3,800, and you literally don't notice the difference after 2 months. The person who tries to save what's left over saves $2,100 per year. The person who pays themselves first automatically saves $9,000 per year. Over 30 years at 7% return, the first person has $200,000. The second person has $857,000. Same income, different habit. The difference is $657,000. That's not a typo. Now, you might be thinking, Guy, I can't afford to save 15% of my income. I'm already struggling to pay my bills, and I get it. So start with 5%, start with 3%. Start with literally anything above 0. The habit matters more than the amount. Because once the automation is set up, once your brain adjusts to living on slightly less, increasing from 5% to 7% to 10% is painless, but going from 0 to 10% feels impossible. So people never start. Here's your action step for habit 1. Today, not tomorrow, log into your payroll system and set up a direct deposit split. Send at least 5% of every paycheck to a separate savings or investment account. If your employer doesn't allow split deposits, set up an automatic transfer in your bank that happens the day your paycheck hits. Make it automatic. Remove willpower from the equation. This one habit will do more for your wealth than any other financial decision you make in 2026. Habit number 2, track your spending without judgment. This is where it gets really interesting. Most people have absolutely no idea where their money goes. They make $5,000 a month, they pay their big bills, and then $4,000 just evaporates into small purchases, convenience spending, and stuff they barely remember buying. And when I tell people to track their spending, they immediately get defensive. They think I'm telling them to budget, to deprive themselves, to never have fun. But that's not what this is about. Tracking your spending without judgment means you observe your behavior without shame or restriction. You're not trying to change anything yet. You're just becoming aware. Because here's the psychological truth. You cannot change a behavior you're not aware of. And most people are spending unconsciously. There's this fascinating study from the Journal of Consumer Research that found people underestimate their spending by an average of 30% to 40%. You think you spend $200 a month eating out? You actually spend $320. You think you spend $100 on random Amazon purchases. You actually spend $180. This gap between perceived spending and actual spending is where your money disappears. Here's what I want you to do. For the next 30 days, track every single dollar you spend. And I mean every dollar. The $4 coffee, the $12 lunch, the $8 app subscription you forgot you had. Use an app like Mint or YNAB, or just keep a note in your phone. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just track it all without changing your behavior. And here's the critical part. No judgment. Don't tell yourself you're bad for buying that thing. Don't feel guilty. Don't restrict yourself. Just observe. At the end of 30 days, you're going to look at your spending and you're going to have a moment of clarity. You're going to see patterns. You're going to see that you spent $340 on food delivery when you thought you spent $100. You're going to see that you have 7 streaming subscriptions when you only use 2. You're going to see where your money actually goes. And this is where the magic happens. Once you're aware, once you see the numbers, you'll naturally start making different choices. Not because someone told you to, because you don't want to spend $340 on DoorDash when you could cook at home for $80 and invest the $260 difference. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates change. The average American household has about $200 to $400 per month in spending that they don't even realize is happening. Subscriptions they don't use, convenience purchases that don't add value, impulse buys that sit in the closet with tags still on. If you track your spending and eliminate just $250 per month of unconscious waste, that's $3,000 per year, invested at 7% for 30 years. That's $283,000. You just found almost $300,000 in your unconscious spending habits. Action step for habit 2. Download a spending tracker app today or start a simple spreadsheet. For the next 30 days, log every purchase. No restrictions, no judgment, just awareness. At the end of the month, categorize your spending and identify your 3 biggest surprise categories. Those are your wealth leaks. Habit number 3. Automate your financial life completely. Look, here's the uncomfortable truth. You are not going to remember to pay your bills on time every month. You're not going to remember to transfer money to savings. You're not going to remember to increase your 401k contribution. Not because you're irresponsible, because you're human, and humans are terrible at remembering repetitive tasks. There's a concept called decision fatigue. Every financial decision you have to make manually drains your mental energy and increases the chance you'll make a poor choice or forget entirely. But here's what most people don't realize. You can automate literally your entire financial life. And once you do, building wealth becomes effortless. Here's what full financial automation looks like. Your paycheck hits your account. Automatically, 15% goes to your investment account. Your rent or mortgage payment automatically withdraws on the first of the month. Your utility bills auto pay. Your credit card auto pays in full every month. Your insurance premiums auto pay. Your IRA contribution happens automatically on the 15th. Every single financial obligation is on autopilot. And here's why this matters. When everything is automated, you eliminate three massive wealth destroyers. Number one, late fees. Americans pay over $12 billion per year in late fees. That's money thrown away because people forgot to pay a bill. Number two, decision paralysis. When you have to manually decide to invest every month, you'll find excuses. The market's too high. You have an unexpected expense. You'll invest next month. With automation, the decision is already made. Number three, lifestyle inflation. This is the big one. When you automate your savings and investing first, before you see your paycheck, you adjust your lifestyle to what's left. But when you manually try to save at the end of the month, your lifestyle expands to consume all available money. Automation forces you to live below your means without feeling deprived. Let me give you a real example. Two people, both making $75,000 per year. Person A manually handles all their finances. They remember to pay bills most of the time, pay maybe $300 per year in late fees and interest from missed payments, and at the end of each month, they try to save money, but usually there's nothing left. They average about $2,000 per year in savings. Person B automates everything. 15% of their paycheck goes straight to investments, $11,250 per year, all bills autopay, zero late fees. They never see that money, so they don't miss it. Over 30 years, at 7% return, person A has $189,000, person B has $1,069,000. The difference is $880,000. Same income, different habit. Now, you might be thinking, Guy, what if I don't have enough money in my account when the autopay tries to go through? Valid question. This is why you build a small buffer. Keep $500 to $1,000 in your checking account at all times as a cushion. If you're living that close to the edge, start by automating just your most important bills and your savings, even if it's only $50 per month. Then, as you build that buffer, add more automation. Action step for habit 3, this week set up autopay for every single recurring expense you have, bills, subscriptions, insurance, everything. Then set up automatic transfers for savings and investing. Look at your calendar and pick dates that work with your paycheck schedule. Set it up once, then forget about it and let the system run. Habit number 4, invest in assets, not liabilities. Here's where most people completely misunderstand wealth building. They think rich people got rich by making a lot of money, but that's not how it works. Rich people got rich by buying assets, and most people stay broke because they buy liabilities and think they're assets. Let me explain the difference because this is critical. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket over time. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket over time. A rental property that generates $500 per month in cash flow is an asset. An index fund that pays dividends and grows in value is an asset. A business that generates profit is an asset. Your car is not an asset. I don't care what the car salesman told you. It depreciates in value. It costs you insurance, gas, maintenance. It takes money out of your pocket every month. It's a liability. Your primary residence is not really an asset. Yes, it might appreciate, but it costs you property taxes, insurance, maintenance, opportunity cost on the down payment. It's a place to live, which is important, but it's not making you wealthy. Here's the habit that changes everything. Every time you're about to spend money on something significant, ask yourself this question. Is this an asset or a liability? Will this put money in my pocket or take money out? And if it's a liability, is it a necessary liability or a lifestyle liability? You need a car to get to work. That's a necessary liability. But do you need a $40,000 car, or will a $15,000 car do the same job? That $25,000 difference, if invested at 7% for 30 years, becomes $190,000. You just traded a nicer car for almost $200,000 in future wealth. Most people make that trade unconsciously and then wonder why they never build wealth. Here's the math that will blow your mind. The median American household has about $8,000 in credit card debt at 19% interest. They're paying about $1,520 per year just in interest. That's money going to the bank for nothing. Meanwhile, they could take that same $8,000, invest it at 7% average return, and earn $560 per year. The difference between being in debt and being invested is $2,080 per year over 30 years. That compounds to a difference of over $200,000. But here's what's even crazier. Most of that $8,000 in credit card debt was spent on things that are now worthless. Dinners out that were eaten and forgotten, clothes that don't fit or went out of style, electronics that are obsolete, liabilities disguised as purchases. Meanwhile, $8,000 in an index fund is an asset that grows every year for the rest of your life. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's say you make $65,000 per year and you commit to this habit. Every time you want to buy something over $100, you pause and ask, asset or liability. You realize you were about to spend $1,200 on a new TV when your current TV works fine. Liability, you skip it. You were about to finance new furniture for $3,000. Liability, you keep your current furniture another year. You take that $4,200 and you invest it instead. That single year of choosing assets over liabilities at 7% for 30 years is worth $32,000. And if you make this a habit, if every year you redirect just $4,000 from liabilities to assets, over 30 years, you'll have $378,000. Most people trade that for stuff they barely remember buying. Now, I'm not saying never buy anything. I'm not saying live like a monk and deprive yourself, but I am saying be intentional. Understand the trade-off. Every dollar you spend on a liability is a dollar that won't compound into wealth. And most people spend unconsciously on liabilities and then complain they can't afford to invest. Action step for habit 4. Make a list of everything you own that costs you money every month. Car payments, subscriptions, anything that drains your bank account. Now ask yourself which of these are necessary and which are lifestyle inflation. Pick one lifestyle liability and eliminate it this month. Take the money you save and redirect it to buying an actual asset, an index fund, a high yield savings account, anything that pays you instead of costing you. Habit number 5, increase your income through skills, not hours. Here's the final habit, and it's the one that most people resist because it requires actual work, but it's also the one that creates exponential results. Most people, when they want more money, try to work more hours. They get a second job, a side hustle, overtime at work, and yeah, that gets you more money in the short term. But it has a ceiling. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you can only work so many of them before you burn out. But increasing your income through skills, that has no ceiling. And the math on this is absolutely wild. Let's say you currently make $55,000 per year. You could pick up a side hustle driving for Uber and make an extra $10,000 per year working 15 hours per week. That's 780 hours of your life per year for $10,000. Or you could invest 5 hours per week for 1 year learning a high income skill. Maybe you learn advanced Excel and data analysis. Maybe you get a certification in your field. Maybe you learn digital marketing or coding or sales. After 1 year, 260 hours of learning, you use that skill to negotiate a raise or switch jobs, and your salary goes from $55,000 to $70,000. You just increased your income by $15,000 per year permanently. The side hustler is still working 780 hours per year for $10,000. You worked 260 hours once and now make $15,000 more every year for the rest of your career. And that increase compounds because raises and promotions are percentage based. A 5% raise on $55,000 is $2,750. A 5% raise on $70,000 is $3,500. Over a 30-year career, the person who increased their base salary by $15,000 through skills will earn approximately $450,000 more than the person who stayed at $55,000. The side hustler, working 780 hours per year for 30 years, earns $300,000 extra and sacrifice 23,400 hours of their life. The skill builder earned $450,000 more and invested 260 hours once. Here's what most people don't realize. Your income is directly tied to the value you can provide, and the value you can provide is directly tied to your skills. If you're working a $50,000 job, it's because your current skill set provides about $50,000 worth of value to an employer. But skills are learnable. Value is buildable. You can deliberately increase your market value. And here's the beautiful part. In 2026, you can learn almost any skill for free or cheap. YouTube, Coursera, Udemy, free coding, boot camps, online certifications. The information is out there. Most people just never invest the time because they're too busy working extra hours at low-value tasks. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say you work in an office job making $60,000. You notice that people in your company who know SQL and data analysis make $85,000. You spend 6 months, 5 hours per week, learning SQL through free YouTube tutorials and practice databases. That's 130 hours total. You add SQL to your resume, apply for internal positions, and land a job at $80,000. You just gave yourself a $20,000 raise for 130 hours of work. That's $154 per hour of learning. Show me a side hustle that pays that. And this compounds because now you're in a higher salary bracket. Your 401k contributions are higher, your savings capacity is higher, your future raises are calculated on a higher base. That one skill you learned changed your entire financial trajectory. Now, you might be thinking, Guy, I don't have 5 hours per week to learn new skills. I'm already working full-time and barely keeping up. And here's where I'm going to be a little harsh. You absolutely have 5 hours per week. You just choose to spend it on Netflix, social media, scrolling, things that provide zero value to your future. The average American watches 3 hours of TV per day. That's 21 hours per week. I'm asking for 5. Cut your TV time from 3 hours to 2 hours and 20 minutes per day. Use that 40 minutes for skill building. In 1 year, you'll have 300 hours of focused learning. That's enough to master a skill that could increase your income by $20,000 or more permanently. Action step for habit 5. Identify one skill that would increase your income in your field. Ask your boss what skills the highest paid people in your company have. Look at job postings for roles that pay 30% more than you currently make and see what they require. Pick one skill and commit to 5 hours per week for 6 months. Sign up for a course today, not next week. Today, bringing it all together. Look, here's the final truth I need you to understand. These 5 habits, they're not complicated. Pay yourself first automatically. Track your spending without judgment. Automate your financial life completely. Invest in assets, not liabilities. Increase your income through skills, not hours. None of this is rocket science, but it's also not what most people do. Most people spend unconsciously, save whatever's left, buy liabilities, and trade their time for money in the least efficient ways possible. And then they wonder why they're stuck financially. But you're not most people. You watch this video all the way through, you're someone who's ready to change. If you implement just one of these habits in 2026, your financial life will improve. If you implement 3, you'll be in the top 10% of people financially. If you implement all 5, you will build serious wealth, regardless of your current income, and you'll wonder how you ever lived any other way. The difference between financial stress and financial freedom isn't luck. It's not your salary, it's your habits. And habits are completely within your control. You can decide right now, today, to be the person who builds these habits. Your 2027 self, your 2030 self, your 2050 self, they're all watching what you do in 2026. Make them proud. If this video helped you, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more honest financial content. And most importantly, pick one habit from this video and implement it this week, not next month, this week. Drop a comment telling me which habit you're starting with. I read every single one. Your financial transformation starts now. Let's make 2026 the year everything changes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.